Hey yo, what is up? You are looking at the newest Clan Wars reward tank, the 116F3 Chinese auto-loading heavy tank that you can earn from participating in the upcoming War Gods Clan Wars event starting from 13th of February to the 27th of February. Now, the 116F3 will be among the 7 reward tanks that you can choose from if you qualify within the top 10,000 players in EU, top 1,200 in Asia, or top 2,250 players in NA. Now, if you already have all the older reward tanks, then you can only pick this one. If you don't have the older reward tanks, I would suggest you get those first and circle back to this tank, the 116F3, in the future. In today's video, I will explain why. Oh, by the way, in case you didn't know, this tank will come with its own 2D style, aka veteran style, which essentially is like a weathered style with some written Chinese that says Happy Chinese New Year or something. I'll be honest, it's not looking too hot or visually striking. If you like the closer to life kind of style, then you would appreciate this 2D style or 2D look. It looks more like a veteran style weathered tank, not really a striking 3D style or any kind of the striking colors 2D styling. But anyway, why am I recommending you pick the other reward tanks before you go for the 116? Well, this tank came out sometime in October 2022 and the stats were pretty dismal. Now, before they released it, they've nerfed it even further. The hit points were reduced by 150 points from 2,250 down to 2,100 for context, and IS-7 is 2,400 hit points, and an Object 277 is 2,200 hit points. The reload time was 30.68 seconds and now it's 38.35 seconds. That's a solid 8-second nerf to the reload. That's one extra shot you have to eat before you can retaliate on your enemies ravaging you while you squirm defenseless, trying to point your armor towards them. So the aim time was also nerfed from 2.59 seconds to 2.78 seconds. Reverse speed was also nerfed from 25 kilometers to 20 kilometers. I mean, 20 kilometers is still pretty quick, but 25 kilometers is even faster, right? Imagine this tank with this kind of gun and reload. You want that quick reverse so that you can get into safety and hide for like 38 seconds before you come out again, right? So yeah, that's what's happening with this tank. Now, gun dispersion is 0.40. That hasn't changed, but for context, the IS-7 is 0.38, and we consider the IS-7 kind of dog shit, right? While the Object 277 is 0.36 and the Chieftain, the boss, is 0.34. So that's a lot of difference in the accuracy. So what you have here is a tank that was created post Bond and Bounty equipment, post Equipment 2.0, post Experimental Equipment, post Crew Training Books, post Personal Reserve Boosters. If you're familiar with the finance business, we call this priced in stats. Priced in means they already factored in all the things the market will add to it. In this case, what the players will add to the tank, like bond equipment and 5 skilled crews, for example. I've mentioned this before, and I don't want to harp on it too long about this thing, but generally speaking, back when before bond or bounty equipment and boosters and whatnot, tanks in your garage improved in performance over time. As you upgraded the crews and the equipment combinations and shit, your tank was supposed to get better and better as you played it more, right? In 2023, it's a different ball game. You're upgrading your crews and mounting bond equipment not to improve your tank's performance, but you're upgrading your crew and you're mounting bond equipment so that your tank sucks less. Case in point is this 116F3. You're getting dog shit gun performance. You have to be close to the enemy. You literally have to be face hugging them to do anything meaningful for your team. Your fully loaded, fully decked out 116F3 with bond equipment, with experimental equipment, with 7 skill crew is worse in gun performance over an Object 277 with 0 equipment and 0 crew skills. A stock Object 277 with no equipment and 0 crew skills has better gun handling than this fully loaded 116F3. Now, the only redeeming qualities of this tank is the frontal armor. It's thick and bouncy, all kinds of angles and sloping, tiny, thin cupola that will be difficult to hit. You basically need to be a tier 10 firing gold rounds to deal with this tank. The 116 and Minotauro are like in the same category. You can go play in one corner and go fuck yourselves in the face basically. But anyway, let's talk about this armor. If you need to deal with this tank face to face, it is not going to be easy at all, because you basically have nothing to shoot at. If you're using stock shells in tier 10s, you have something like 255, 260 penetration. Everything is very hard to pen frontally. Even like if you're from a distance, it's even worse. There's basically nothing for you to shoot at. There is a lower plate that has thinner armor, but you can't penetrate it from eye level. From eye level, if you are in another tank, there's no way you can penetrate that lower plate. But if you are at a lower ground, then yes, you can penetrate this lower plate. But how often are you going to be able to, get a shot at this tank from this angle? No way, right? You're usually something like this angle at best. Okay, this angle. So you do have 90+% at a distance. You can pen it at a distance, but not easy, because if you look at it carefully, it is really thin and it is really small. Frontally, basically, you only have that cupola, and with if you have 255 stock penetration, man, this is going to be pretty sad, because that cupola is really thin. From this distance, it's pretty hard to hit, especially if he's wiggling around like that, moving around, blocking with his gun or whatever. Really difficult. If you're close, maybe you get a better chance, but everything else is very difficult to pen. You need to be firing gold, and maybe 330 penetration might be okay. You can penetrate from the top perhaps, but everything else is very hard to pen with, let's say, 255 penetration. But if they are side scraping, you do have a little window which is right here at this panel. You see this armor here, the top armor, this panel up here, this part up here, you can pen, but it needs to be something like that. And then you have like 70, 80, 100% penetration from this angle. but not the entire panel. You can't pen the entire panel. You see frontally here you have very low chances, and then here you get that penetration just at this spot. If he's angling a little bit thinner, man, your chances of penning that is almost zero. He needs to show you a little bit more angle like that, and then you can pen that. Otherwise, you have nothing to pen here. Look, lower plate, upper plate, nothing to pen. Cupola, you can almost not hit it. You need to be a little bit tall. This guy is quite tall, right? So you need to be in a taller tank to be able to even have a chance at sniping his thin cupola. So very little chance here. If he's side scraping this way, then yes. If he's side scraping this way, man, very little to no chance. If this way, likely no chance at all. Same as on the other side. If he's side scraping well like this, you have a very tiny window that you could probably pen, maybe like that. You have a 90% chance here, but very tiny. This little panel here from the side on, it looks very big, but when you're side scraping, it's very small. Very little opportunity. You can try for the cupola, but it's really thin. It has to be at this precise spot. You know, this tiny little spot here, that's all you got. So you need to make sure your shots count when you're up against the 116 f3. So that's what I have for you today. If you do get a chance to win a reward tank, man, go pick the 907 or something. Go pick the 907, go pick the 121B, which is useful. Go pick the T95 E6 or whatever that tank is, the American one, and then maybe the VKK, and then maybe the M60. This one, pick it last. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next video. Bye bye.